Citi has jumped further now into the premium credit card space with the recent arrival of the Strata Elite credit card. On paper, this card definitely packs a punch and could pair well with the Citi Custom Cash and Double Cash credit cards. And Citi being the only major issuer that can transfer to American Airlines is also pretty powerful. So today, we'll look at the card's benefits as well as its drawbacks. Hey everyone, ThankYou here, and welcome to my award lab, where I teach you the science of miles and points. Let's jump right in. So the card's annual fee is $5.95, which is higher than the Venture X, but still lower than the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and still lower than the current Amex Platinum, which could increase with its refresh this fall. That being said, if you are a qualifying Citi Gold client, you could get a credit on your annual fee, which could make sense to some people if you're in that demographic. And like the Strata Elite's more expensive competitors, they did adopt the coupon book of credits trend, so let's talk about those and see if any of them will align with your natural spending. First off, you do get a $300 annual hotel credit to be used within Citi's travel portal. Just note that there is a 2-night minimum. This one to me seems fine, easy enough to use, and it is annual, which is nice. And as with all travel portals, it's always smart to double check prices outside the portal with the hotels directly, just to make sure you're not paying a more inflated price. And if you are, then I guess just discount this credit or book directly with the hotel chain. Next, you get a $200 annual splurge credit, which can be used on up to 2 brands, including American Airlines, Best Buy, Live Nation, and a few others. For me, this one seems pretty easy to get the full value out of. Personally, I fly a decent amount. I wouldn't say I'm loyal to one airline. I normally fly Delta or American, sometimes Southwest and JetBlue. So using this credit for the American flights that I book would be pretty simple. I also go to a decent amount of shows and concerts in the year, so using this credit with Live Nation for Ticketmaster purchases would also make sense for me. I don't frequent Best Buy that often, but if you buy lots of tech products, Best Buy does do sales every now and then. So if that's you, that could also make sense. Now, the brands that this credit works with can change in the future. So if you are watching this down the line, make sure you double check and make sure that the current brands make sense in your natural spending. Next up, you also get a credit for Black Lane, which is a premium chauffeur service. And this one's split into 2 semi-annual $100 credits. Not sure why it says annual there because it is semi-annual, but yeah, split into every 6 months. So you get $100 from January to June and a second 100 between July and December. Now, I've never used Black Lane, but comparing it to Uber Black, just doing a quick example here in New York from Penn Station to LaGuardia, Black Lane was a bit cheaper. Then doing one more example from the Empire State Building to Citi Field, Black Lane wins again. Now, I never use Uber Black. I just go with whatever's cheapest, but if you do value those premium rideshare services, then Black Lane could make sense. It just depends on your area, time of day, traffic, all that stuff. Personally, I value this one at 0 because I wouldn't spend on Black Lane naturally. I do wish also that it was an annual credit, not semi-annual, but I'll take semi-annual over monthly any day. You'll also get a credit for Global Entry or TSA PreCheck. Note that PreCheck is included with Global Entry, so go for that if you can. So looking at our Blackboard now, if you value these credits at their full value, you're coming out ahead by about $225, which is pretty good. For me personally, my effective annual fee would be $95 if we subtract the hotel and splurge credits. I already have Global Entry from another credit card, so for me this one's 0 here. And I don't currently use Black Lane, so I'd also value that one at 0. But an effective annual fee of $95, especially with the Multipliers benefits and sign-up bonus that we'll go into here next, to me is pretty good. So in year 1, the current offer out there is 80,000 points after spending $4,000 in your first 3 months of card ownership. So a bit higher than that of the Venture X, definitely lower than the current offer that we're seeing now on the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and also lower than the $175K offer that we see on the Amex Platinum. But $80K still isn't bad in my opinion. You could possibly also get a $100,000 offer if you go in branch. So if you are near a Citibank, then definitely go in and try. But if not, $80K is still pretty good and you can definitely come out ahead in year 1. At 1 cent per point, that 80,000 points is worth about $800 towards travel. But later on in this video, we'll go over some examples of how you can get even more value out of them than just that. So now looking at the card's multipliers, they're pretty strong in my opinion. You get 12x Citi ThankYou points on hotels, attractions, and car rentals booked through Citi Travel, and 6x on flights booked through Citi Travel. These are pretty competitive multipliers compared to the competition, but as always with all portals, make sure that the price you're paying inside the portal isn't inflated. And if it is, make sure that the awards you're earning outweighs the cost, or just book directly with the airline or hotel. As far as a portal multiplier goes, I think 12x and 6x is pretty strong. You'll also get 3x on all dining and 6x on dining during Citi nights, which is from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. on Friday and Saturday nights. I dine out pretty frequently on the weekends, so this will be a pretty good multiplier to have for all those weekend dinners that I go to with my friends. You also get 1.5x on all purchases, which is not a bad catch-all by any means. Now, if you're like me and you don't mind having multiple credit cards in your wallet, you could pair this card with the Citi Double Cash, which earns 1% cash back when you buy something, and also 1% back as you pay. So 2% back on all purchases effectively. You could also add the Citi Custom Cash, which earns 5% back on your top spending category each billing cycle, up to $500 in spend. So this could be your gas or transit card, for example. Both these cards have no annual fee, and currently each card offers a $200 sign-up bonus after spending $1,500 in your first 6 months. The cash back and welcome offers earned on this card are earned as Citi ThankYou points, and if you pair these cards with a Citi Strata card, you can then transfer those points out to partners for award travel, but more on that later. So looking at more of the Strata Elite's benefits, one is lounge access, or lack thereof, to be honest. You do get access to Priority Pass, and you can bring 2 guests with you, but some of these lounges can be kind of hit or miss. Some are great and have good food and drink options and a good place to sit, while others are pretty mediocre. It all depends on the lounge, the city, time of day. Some might have restricted hours, others might have long waits. It just depends. Also, unlike Chase, Amex, and Capital One, Citi does not have their own lounges, but you do get 4 Admirals Club passes each year, which are American Airlines lounges. However, if you are traveling with a player too, you'd have to use one of those passes to get them in, but you can bring up to 3 children under the age of 18 in for free. Also, you have to be flying American, Alaska, or a oneworld carrier. To me, 4 passes isn't a lot, but it is something, and if you do fly American and their partners a lot, then it's an option. So now, looking at some other benefits, you do get access to Death & Co.'s online platform for cocktail tutorials, and you also get access to Citi Entertainment, which includes pre-sales and other exclusives. You also get access to the Reserved by Citi, and properties in this portfolio could include benefits like early check-in, late checkout, room upgrades, free Wi-Fi, experience credits, and also breakfast for 2. I'd imagine these benefits, though, could be very dependent on the hotel, so your mileage may vary, but still nice that they could be available. You also get some rental car coverages, trip delay, cancellation, and interruption coverages, as well as lost or damaged luggage protection, but as always, read the fine print, do your own research, as this is not insurance advice. The card also has no foreign transaction fees, good when you're abroad. So now that we've gone through all the perks, let's talk through how you can best redeem your hard-earned Citi ThankYou points. You can cash them out for a statement credit or use them for gift cards or pay with points for certain purchases, but if you want max value out of your points, it's typically best practice to transfer them out to Citi's partners for award travel. The card really made waves when they announced American Airlines as a one-to-one partner. So the idea being, for example, 1,000 Citi points turning into 1,000 American miles. And out of the US domestic airlines, it is really easy to get good value out of American miles for both US travel with American, but also international travel with American's partners. So let's go over a few examples. For a domestic example, this one-way flight from New York to Portland at the end of August is $129, but we can also see here that it would only cost us 6,000 American miles and $516 taxes and fees. So heading back to our blackboard for a quick cent per point calculation, if we take that $129 and subtract the taxes and fees, divide by 6,000 points and multiply by 100, we get 2.06 cents per point, which is pretty good for a domestic US economy redemption. 2.06 is above my personal redemption threshold of about 1.5 cents per point for redemption, so good value here. Some people do 2 or 3 or even higher. Others are cool with just 1, so it all depends on you. But personally, I target about 1.5 for domestic, and I aim for 2 for international. Now, normally, I search for award flights one way, as you might find a seat going to your destination but not coming back. But if we do factor this in with a round trip fare, just make sure our numbers are inflated, as sometimes one ways can cost more, we can see that our numbers still make sense. Personally, I'd probably just pay cash for this fare as it is relatively inexpensive, but if you aren't targeting aspirational travel or first and business class, then this could be a really good use of your points for domestic travel. However, if you are targeting those more aspirational experiences, American is still really good for that. American's partners do release pretty decent award space for first and business, often at really low saver rates. For example, you can book Japan Airlines through first class for only 80,000 points if you can find availability. Now, this experience is super nice, and often round-trip fares are upwards of $28,000, one way being around $17K. So booking that one-way leg for 80,000 points is an absolute steal. So if we divide our round-trip fare by 2, subtract taxes and fees, and divide by 80,000, we get a whopping 17.78 cents per point, which is phenomenal. You'll never get value like this out of cashback credit cards. That's why I personally prefer travel cards. I actually booked a Japan Airlines seat for next summer using both American Express and Capital One miles through Cathay Pacific. Total was around $135,000, which is still a pretty good deal, but I'd much rather pay that $80,000. Other oneworld partners like Finnair, Etihad, and Qatar Airways often release decent award space to American, and if a video detailing how to find seats like that would be helpful, then let me know down below. Now, award deals like these can be hard to find, but I'll link a few award search tools down below the like and subscribe buttons that I've used in the past to help me search for flights myself. Down below, I'll also link a free transfer partner guide so you can see what other airlines and hotels Citi can transfer to, as well as what other partners the other major banks have. Note that some ratios can be different depending on what card you have. So overall, Citi's new step into this premium travel credit card space isn't too bad. You get good multipliers, decent credits, amazing upside with transfer partners. I just wish there was better lounge access. If you're still watching this video, leave a Citi emoji and I'll try to like it and respond, and let us know if you're going to go for this card, and if you aren't, why you aren't. Ask any questions in the comments too. I'm here to help. Thank you all for joining me in the Award Lab. My name's ThankYou, and I'll see you all in the next one.